If you're about to start a brand new world in Minecraft, then stop right there and listen up. Because in this video, I'm gonna give you 15 helpful tips that will make your start into the game much safer, easier, and of course, you will also get better loot too. So, let's jump right into it. When you start a new Minecraft world, then one of the first things you want to do is look around for a little bit and see if you can find a village, because villages are incredibly overpowered in the early game. See, what they offer you is absolutely unbeatable. On the one hand, villages come with farms, and those farms usually have enough food in them to get you going for the first couple of days, and on top of that, with the seeds that you got from harvesting the farm, you can already start your own little farm right away. On top of that, there are of course the treasure chests, which might or might not even contain some valuable loot for you, and this is especially important on the first day, villagers have beds in their homes. So if you want to skip the night to not have to fight zombies without proper gear, then you can always take a nap in a village and be much safer. Just one very important thing you want to keep in mind, I can't believe how many people forget about this, so that's why I'm saying it at the start of the video. Whenever you find a village, make sure the first thing you do is trap 2 villagers in a way that they are completely surrounded by blocks and safe from enemy mobs, because what happens all too often is, while you're out mining or doing something else, the village either gets raided or attacked by zombies, and all those nice villagers will not be there anymore when you return. So always make sure to have a backup of 2 villagers to be able to repopulate and not have a ghost town. Now, if you haven't played Minecraft in quite a while and now you're returning, then the next tip is especially for you. See, in the past, what we usually did on the first day is hunt down a couple of animals, take their meat and cook it in a furnace to get our first bit of food. Well, this is not how we do it anymore. Instead, if you want to have a lot of easy food early on, then you want to settle down near a river, because inside a river you will find usually tons of fish that you can easily hunt, and the best thing is, even if you completely fish the river empty, the next time you return, the fish will likely have respawned. And then when you come back to your base to cook the fish, you also don't want to do that in a furnace, but instead it makes much more sense, especially early on, to build a campfire instead, which, by the way, this right here is how you do it. Because the special thing about the campfire is, it doesn't need any fuel. It is always on, and you can put your food down here on the side and just wait for it to automatically be cooked. No need to put wood or coal or anything into that to keep it running. And while we're already talking about how the furnace is not all that good anymore, also for smelting down your iron a bit later down the line, you only really want to use it for the first couple of ingots and then move on to instead use a blast furnace to smelt down your ores, because this one is faster and more efficient. And by the way, if you found the video helpful so far, I would be really happy if you could give it a quick like, because it always helps me big time with the YouTube algorithm. Cheers so much for your support! Okay, so the next tip is so helpful it is almost illegal, and I don't know why not more players do this. And that is, before you even get into your world, go to the options menu and turn the subtitles on, because the fun thing about this is that it will give you subtitles for background noises that are going on in the world, and it also points to which direction they come from. This way, if there is an important sound somewhere off into the distance that you might have missed, you now have a free notification on screen that also shows you where it came from. But what's your biggest tip for starting a new world? Let us know in the comments down below. Okay, this next one, in my opinion, is one of the best additions to the game, especially if you like building stuff. Remember how for all those years we've been building those pesky 1x1 towers if we wanted to build something up high in the sky? Yeah, that was pretty tedious. But the good thing is, we don't have to do that anymore, because there is the scaffolding. You can craft it like this out of bamboo, and the great thing about scaffolding is that you can move up and down on it as if it was a ladder, and you can construct an entire tower of scaffolding just by standing on the ground, so no nasty jumping and placing blocks under you. And as if that's not enough, once you're done building, all you need to do to get rid of that tower is hack away the block at the bottom, and then everything else will automatically fall down. So yeah, forget about the 1x1 towers, use scaffolding instead. Let's next talk about the one thing that everybody wants to have more of, and that would be diamonds, which you probably have been mining wrong. See, what most of us usually do is dig down as deep as we can, because that is where the diamond chance is the highest, and then we just start strip mining. But what if I told you that we can do so much better? The first thing we can do that is more efficient than strip mining would be crawl mining. This is basically the same thing as strip mining, just instead of making your tunnels 2x1 blocks, we're only going to make 1x1 tunnels through which we actually crawl. The way we do this is, we place a trapdoor on the wall, flap it up, go under it, and then flap it down again, which will push us into a prone position in which we can then crawl through the 1x1 tunnel. This way, yes, we only expose 4 blocks around us that could potentially be diamonds, not 6 like usual, but given the fact that you can dig a 1x1 tunnel twice as fast as a 2x1 tunnel, that still means it's more time efficient to do it like this overall. However, if you find strip mining boring and you would rather go through a cave, then that's perfectly fine, and here I have another secret tip for you that barely anyone knows. See, when you're in a cave at diamond height, what you want to do is bring a moss block and a ton of bone meal, place down the moss block and use the bone meal on it, which will then turn a bunch of the stone around it also into moss that you can then easily mine away with a hoe. The good thing here is it will only turn the normal stone into moss, and because diamonds have a much higher spawn rate within the ground, this way it becomes much more likely to find them under the newly created moss. Definitely something you should try, and if you want to know even more advanced diamond mining techniques, then I already have a full 2025 diamond guide. You can check it out in the cards after this video. Another very important item in Minecraft would be lava. There are so many uses for it. The problem is just that lava, unlike water, doesn't infinitely regenerate, right? Wrong. Because with this tip right here, you will always have infinite lava. It's actually really simple. All you need to do is find a dripstone cave and mine a bit of that dripstone. Then build yourself a little pool of lava and attach the dripstone to the blocks under it, and then all you need to do is place a cauldron under it, which will then automatically fill up with lava over time, and this continues forever because the lava at the top will never run out. Let's next though talk about food again, about farms in specific, because here is one thing that a lot of players are still doing wrong. See, if you build your farm and you put the crops down, then the best way to do this is place the crops in rows and make sure that you never have 2 of the same rows of crops next to each other, because that will make them grow much slower. Instead, you ideally want to grow 2 different types of crops and alternate the rows of these crops. This way, all of it will grow much faster. And for the next tip, we stay at the farm because you're potentially missing out on a bunch more crops that you could get. See, once all your crops are grown and you start harvesting, then don't just do that with your hand or a normal tool, but instead use a hoe with a fortune enchantment on it. This way, when you harvest the crops, you're gonna get more crops and more seeds out of it, and the best thing is, if you do this on a hoe, then you're not even gonna lose durability by harvesting, because hoes only lose durability when you use them to create farmland. Okay. Now we need to talk about one of the most overpowered mobs in the entire game. See, we all know this situation. You build your first base, you have a ton of chests in it filled to the brim with all types of resources. And then the moment you want to build a new base, it is an absolute pain to get all of this from A to B. So here is how you solve this. First of all, you need to have a dried ghast. There are 2 ways to get it. One would be to go into the Nether, to be more specific, into the Soul Sand Valley. There you commonly find them among those big skeletons. Alternatively, you can also just craft one with soul sand as well as ghast tears. Once you have the dried ghast, bring it back home and then hydrate it with a bucket of water, and then, after quite a bit of waiting, it will hatch into a ghastling, which eventually will grow up to be a full-sized happy ghast. All you need to do then is craft a harness, and then you can ride that happy ghast, and here is how you can use that to transport all your stuff from A to B. First of all, get a bunch of boats with chests in them that you then fill up with all the stuff that you want to transport. Up next, get a bunch of leads and use them to attach these boats to the happy ghast. The way you do this is you hold sneak and then right-click the boat as well as the happy ghast. And as you see right here, you can attach all those boats with the chest, fly over to your new base, and now you have all your stuff. Just be careful if you do this on an online server with a bad ping. This could cause some trouble with the collisions and the boats, which might break the leashes. That would be bad. But if you do it in a single-player world, there's really nothing to worry about. Let's stay in the Nether for a little bit though, because there is one type of creature in the Nether that is very annoying to deal with, which would be the Hoglin, these big brute pigs who are always aggressive to you and very tanky, but did you know that you can just easily scare them away? All you gotta do is collect some warped fungi and place them down, because Hoglins are afraid of those and will always stay 7 blocks away from each and every one of those. Just put a couple of them down and you're completely safe. Now, we all know how profitable it can be to go and explore the world in Minecraft. There are so many valuable items, diamonds, enchanted books, and all whatnot that you can find in all the structures around the world. However, it can take quite some time to find them, and if you want to speed that up, then you definitely need to try this. Take the seed of your world and type it into the Minecraft seed map website, where it will then not only give you a full map of your world, but it also gives you the exact locations of all the points of interest that you could only wish for. Kinda feels a little bit like cheating, but hey, it's your world, so you do you. Okay, here is an item that you should always have in your main base, and that will be the recovery compass. See, as careful as you might be, at some point you will make a mistake and unfortunately die and lose all of your stuff. That can be especially bad if it happens far away from your base, because you might not even be able to find that spot again. That is where the recovery compass helps, because it will point you to the location where you died so you can pick up all the stuff that you lost. Doesn't only work on the overworld, but also in the Nether and even in the end. So, the next tip is something that most players actually don't know about, but it will help you a great ton when you eventually make the ultimate netherite gear. See, the way most players do it is, they first get the diamond gear and diamond armor, then enchant it, and eventually upgrade it into netherite. However, what many players don't know is that netherite has a much higher enchantability than diamond, meaning if you first build netherite gear and then enchant it, then you have a much higher chance of getting free additional bonus enchantments than you would when you enchant diamond gear. And staying at the topic of enchanting for a bit, the next tip has to do with an item that is also super overpowered in my opinion, but still underused, and that would be the grindstone, because with it you can not only clear unwanted enchantments from your gear that you might have gotten by accident and you don't want to have, but you will also even get a bit of the experience back for it. This means, on the one hand, it is much more viable to directly enchant things on the enchanting table, because you can't ruin them with the wrong enchantments, just take them off again. And what's even cooler is, if you have, let's say, a mob farm that drops you a ton of enchanted random gear, you can take all of that, put it on the grindstone, and use it as a source of free experience. It's overall a great tool, and more players should start using it. And last, but definitely not least, let's talk about one of the biggest lifesavers in the entire game, and that would be the Potion of Fire Resistance, which you should always have with you, especially if you play in hardcore, because when you drink it, you become completely invincible to any sort of fire, and you can even swim in lava. If you explore the Nether, don't do it without this. But this is not the only great potion. Also, if you're surrounded by enemies, you can throw a splash potion of weakness into them, and depending on which enemy you use it on, it might set their damage all the way down to 0 so that they can't even hit you anymore at all. And then finally, whenever you're about to get into a really big fight, start by drinking a potion of regeneration, because this ensures that even when your hunger meter eventually goes down during the fight, your health will still always keep ticking up, and if you combine this with a strong armor, then it's basically impossible that any enemy could ever take you out. And if you want to know what all the other potions in the game do and how they make you even stronger, then don't miss my full potions guide right here. See you next time, and until then, craft well.